there everybody, Grant Kemp here from creativecashflow.com. Today we're going to talk about how to search title. How to search title, okay? This is one of those skills that can really come to help you in the long run. And as you continue to watch these series, I particularly suggest that you watch the title search case study that we'll be putting out there, because I'm going to show you how knowing the skills that I'm going to teach you right now will be the deciding factor sometimes that decides whether or not you're going to make a bunch of money in real estate. So that case study is going to give you a really good example of a time that I made $60,000 because I knew how to do what I'm talking about today. So first off, let's just kind of talk about this. What is title? Here's a quote for it. In property law, a title is a bundle of rights in a piece of property in which a party may own either a legal interest or equitable interest. The rights in the bundle may be separated and held by different parties. It may also refer to a formal document, such as a deed, that serves as evidence of ownership. That's title. One of the reasons I really like this definition of it, as Wikipedia'd as it is I like the fact that it points out it's a bundle of rights that can be owned by different people. So you're going to hear title in a couple of different ways. A lot of times you're hearing somebody say, well, I'm going to take title to this house, or we took title to this house. And in that definition, now we're talking about the formal document such as a deed, right? I can take title, meaning I am the owner of the property. I've gotten a deed to the property. And if you want to know more about how deeds work, watch our Subject To video, watch the wraparound video. Those are going to talk a little bit more about deeds and how that all works. Separate from that, we also have the bundle of rights aspect. We also have the fact that even though your ownership is your ownership, there's going to be different claims to that right. Here's one really easy example to think of in that way. Think about a husband and wife. They both have right to the ownership of that property, right? Because they both get 50%. So even though the title is one singular item, you've got two people that claim title to that, right? Well, outside of that, you can also have like mechanics liens. You can have the most common lien that we're going to be referring to of the mortgage, right? So title is a very all-encompassing name. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about how to search title, and we're going to talk about proper chain of title. When we're looking through a title search, what we want to see is that the person that we've contracted the house with, the person that we're speaking to, that they are the proper owner of the property, okay? Because when they bought the property, they needed to buy it from somebody, and that person needed to be the proper owner. So that's the chain of title, right? That the person that's selling it to you is the person that has the right to sell it to you. And that when they got the property, they had the right to get it from the person previous to that. And a bunch of stuff is going to happen in between that point. And so what we're looking for is we're going to be looking for liens against the property, and we're also going to be looking for liens against the person. If you want to know more about liens, watch our Basic Understandings video. The Basic Understandings video is going to talk to you a little bit more about what a lien is, why it matters, that kind of stuff. I'm going to assume you already have that knowledge at this point in time. So where do we find this information? Well, first, we need to look at the county clerk's office. The county clerk's office is going to be what actually stores publicly all of the title information. That's going to actually have all of the stuff like deeds and mechanics liens and anything that shows what's going on with title is public information for you. And that's one of the great things about the Public Information Act. The first thing you want to do is you want to Google whatever county you're in, blank county clerk. Just Google that county clerk, and that's what you're going to pull up. Once you're in that county clerk, you're going to find anything that's on there that says online products, anything that says real estate search, or public records search. Those are going to be the things that you look for, because in the county clerk, you'll also be able to search. A lot of times they've got marriage records and things like that that you can select from the county website. We don't care about that. We care about real property. Now, most counties that I deal with, because I'm dealing with major cities like Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, the big cities. Most of those guys have everything searchable online for you. What we're finding is that as time goes on, more and more people are switching to an online system where you have these systems available to you to look for title. However, some of the smaller places, some of the smaller counties that you're dealing with don't necessarily have everything online yet. They'll get there. If you really want to search title, you can go into their office and look for it. at that point in time, it's just a little more work than it's worth, in my opinion. Your title company is going to do this search for you. Your attorney's office is going to do this title search for you. And again, even though that's happening, this knowledge can be the difference between you making or breaking on a deal. And again, watch the case study so that you understand what I'm talking about when I say that. What I'm going to be talking about today is going to be Dallas County, because I'm in Dallas County. Now, what I want to point out to you is that even though I'm going to be using Dallas County, this is my Teach a Man to Fish section, right? Just search for the county clerk. Everybody's working pretty much the same way. So the principles I'm teaching you today, you're going to be able to use on your different counties. It's just I'll be showing you examples in Dallas County. So the way that that works is you search Dallas County Clerk, right? Our first link is Dallas County Clerk. I'm going to click on that. That brings me to this page. Now, at this bottom left-hand side, official public record search. That's my keyword. That's what I told you to be looking for, was a public record search. So we're going to click on that side of it. And then that brings us to a section that looks like this. Now, Rome is a third-party company. Rome is a third-party company that does the title searching software for a lot of different counties. So depending on what county you're in, you may be using Rome or you may be using their own system. If you ever see this Rome logo, that's what you want to click on, because that's going to get you where you're trying to go. And in the Rome system, you will just need to register. Now, registration for public record searches is free. You don't have to pay to get registered with these counties to do the public record search. The great thing is that most counties will at least show you the first page of every document that's recorded there for free. Then you can pay a very nominal amount to get the rest of it. If you need information that's on the second, third, fourth page, anything like that, you can pay to download that information. And usually you might spend $4 or $5 on doing that. So it's not that big of a deal. But registration is free. So go ahead and register. And when you get into it, this is what it's going to look like. That's the Rome system. That's going to be what we're searching for. Now, we're in here. What do we actually search for? What are we actually using to search for this? So to actually search, we need to have some information. We need a legal description. That's what I use to search for this stuff. So to get the legal description, you're going to go to the county CAD, the Central Appraisal District, and it works the same way as the last thing, right? You just Google search, whatever county CAD, Dallas County CAD, Tarrant County CAD, whatever. Find search by address or search by name, whichever one you prefer. I like searching by address, but you can search by name too. So if I Google Dallas County CAD, Google's really nice to me. It shows up right here, find property street by address. So I'm just going to click on that one, and it takes me directly to what I want to see, which is this address search field. With the address search field, you just type in your address number and name, and then at the bottom it will pop up the results that you got from that. You're just going to click on that address. When you click on it, what you're looking for is anything that says legal description. Secondly, the thing that you want to keep an eye on that's just not a big deal, but is just a real quick indicator of what's going on, look at the owner name that's listed on tax. Is that owner the person that you're speaking to or not? If it is the person you're speaking to, fine and dandy. If it's not necessarily a terrible thing. It's not necessarily saying that you're not speaking to the owner, because sometimes different things are listed different ways on these websites, but that's at least a flag that you need to be aware of as you start searching title. You want to say, why is it that Joe is the one I'm speaking to, but Betty is the one that's listed as the owner on here, right? So then you will be searching through title records to see if Joe actually has the right to sell you this property. So we get the legal description here, and then we're going to go put that into Rome, okay? So this is going to be a very slide-heavy presentation, so just bear with me because I'm going to show you screenshots of everything that's going on. We're going to go back to Rome, and we're going to click on Advanced Search. Advanced Search is the way that I like looking through these things, because it gives me the ability to put in the legal description there and kind of weed through a lot of the information that's out there. I'm going to weed through a lot of the garbage that I don't care to see, because there's tons and tons and tons of records that get filed every day. So I'm going to take that legal description from the county CAD, and I'm just going to insert it right here. Lot, block, and subdivision. My life pro tip here is to be as vague as possible on your subdivision, because title companies, lots of times they record stuff funky, right? This one is Pleasant Acres something or another. That was our legal description. So I'm just searching for Pleasant, because I know that they could spell it different ways. Now, when you watch our case study, you'll see that eventually we find that the title companies were spelling it P-L-S-N-T a lot of the times, right? So Sometimes it was spelled Pleasant, sometimes it was PLSNT, sometimes it was Pleasant ACRS and Acres Wisdom, you know, that kind of stuff. So you want to be vague, you want to try and figure things out that way. Watch the case study so you can see how to fix that, how to realize what's going on, that there's an issue there, and continue to search through it. Once you do that search, this is kind of what you want to see. This is a normal result from a title search. This is a very nice and pretty title search. So when I searched this is a property that I bought a few years ago. When I searched for this, this is what I saw. I saw in November of 2003, Elizabeth Hammond and Darla Kreitz were the grantee of a deed, which again, if you watch our Sub 2 and our wrap video, you'll learn about who the grantee and the grantor are. But in short, when you're getting a deed to a property, when you're becoming the owner, you are the grantee. You are getting deed. The grantor is the seller. The grantor is the person giving something. So the grantor, we have one grantor, it was Janet Gaston. Okay? My sellers told me they bought the house in 2003. This made sense. They got ownership. There's a deed that gives them ownership. And then they also got a deed of trust given to this First Magnus Financial Corp. Right? Everything made sense. I had records from 2003. I didn't have anything else since then. And then you can see that in 2012, we got the property as Grand in North Dallas. That's one of my LLCs that I was buying properties in at that point in time. And so that's where my title search is. Perfect. Nothing. I didn't have to worry about a thing. One of the cool things, if you watch our advanced video, I was able to tell this person what they owed on their house on our first meeting. And if you watch our advanced series on how to tell what somebody owes on their house, you'll be able to do the same thing. It's kind of a cool little trick, and it makes you stick out to them. Secondly, this is another kind of normal example of what a title search might result in if you've got something that's going to pull up. Like that last one was a perfect, nothing was wrong with it. This is another property that I bought where there was some stuff out there that I needed to pay attention to, okay? So we pull this one up. He bought the house back in 2006. Joel Ashbrook bought the house. Now, what I was confused on when I pulled this up is I see that I'm talking to Joel Ashbrook, but I also see this Alan Polonsky guy on here, and I'm like, who's Alan Polonsky, right? Because when you're buying a house, you have to have the signatures from everyone that's on the deed of the property, okay? So whoever's on deed, whoever has title to the property, you have to have all of those signatures on your contract or else it's not a valid contract. So I needed to see, well, Joel told me that he was the only one to talk to. Who's this Alan guy, right? So what I'm looking at here is on the leftmost column, most county clerks will list it with a instrument number on the left side. But it'll be listed as an instrument number regardless. Well, our instrument number here ends in 2118. That's how I can tell that this is one document, because this one document has one instrument number. Your instrument number is a specific number to that specific document. This deed of trust is recorded as 2118. Now, in Rome, you've got this nice little magnifying glass on the right-hand side. That magnifying glass is what allows you to see the first page of whatever document that is. If you want to download it and see more, you can say add to cart, you can pay for it, and you can download to see the rest of it. But right now, the cool thing is, most of the time, 99% of the time, whatever information you need is actually on that first page. Right? Deed of trust shows how much their deed of trust was for. It shows what their loan amount was for, not what they bought it for, but what their loan amount was for. And most of the time, that's all you need. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on that little magnifying glass, and this is what it pulls up for me. It pulls up a deed of trust. Okay? Now, in this deed of trust, you can see in the middle of it, right there on that first paragraph, they have a $114,400 debt on this property. The first line here, I see the trustee is Alan Polonsky. Okay, so now I'm not too worried about who this Alan guy is. I just see that he's the trustee. Again, watch our advanced series. You're going to learn a little bit more about why that trustee is so important, because that's a really big key into something that you may not realize is a lead source for you that you're going to make a ton of money off of. So that trustee is Alan Polonsky. I'm cool with that. I know that Joel Ashbrook, a single man in that first paragraph, is the one who had this deed of trust, a single man. So I'm talking to Joel, I'm happy. Well, then I keep looking down the line. And by the way, I like to organize my view in Rome as the most current record being top. So you can click on the top row of the columns in these different various county clerks, and it will organize by that. I always organize by the recorded date, and I look from most recent back. So we're going to go back, or we're going to go up. Now this was recorded on the same day. You see these are both on 7/19/2006. Again, I've got Alan Polensky. I already know that he's a trustee, so I'm not worried about that. The grantee is Washington Mutual of this deed of trust, which means that Washington Mutual is receiving the deed of trust from the grantor, who is Joel Ashbrook. That's my lead source. I want to look at that. I want to see what happened there. Well, security document, second lien, right at the top. So he took a first and a second lien, right? And so now we know that not only did he have ownership to this house, but he also has 2 liens on it. That's okay. No big deal. We're going to move on to the next step. We've got another deed of trust that happens in 2007. So almost a year later, under a year later, about 10 months later, he gets another deed of trust from Postal Credit Union, Family Credit Union, okay? Or Postel, or however you pronounce that. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to see what happens. Well, this was a Texas home equity security. He got a second lien. He got a home equity loan, a HELOC. You can see in here, $10,000 is what he took out on that one. So he bought the house with a first and a second, and he took out $10,000. Now, by the way, you can download, which I did, the rest of any of these documents. So on that second lien, the last one that we looked at, the one that he got initially, I could pay for that and see exactly how much that lien was for if that mattered to me at the time. But right now, we're just kind of doing some initial searching. So we see that in 2006, he bought the house, got 2 loans. 2007, he took out another home equity loan. And then 2009, we got all kinds of garbage that pops up. We got assignments of liens, and we got mechanics liens. So we see a mechanics lien occur to CSI Construction. We also see a mechanics lien occur to Absolute Stone Fabricators. Now, I was only able to take a screenshot of so much, so this actually carries on to another page. So we've got even more, and you can see my mechanics lien right here to Absolute Stone Fabricators. I used that as a point, you know, that's the same one, so it kind of lets you know where we are. We've got assignments, we got deeds of trust, we got subordination agreements. So what the heck is going on that? Right, let's click on the magnifying glass, let's look into it. Well, what we're going to see is that we have an assignment. One of these assignments is for $6,933. This is one of the assignments that occurred. Now, a second assignment occurred for $3,375 to Prime Lending. The other one was to Prime Lending as well. You can see that in the first paragraph up top. Now, the deed of trust is for Joel Ashbrook. And again, by downloading the whole deed of trust, you can see on the second page, it was actually for the sum of those 2 assignments. So what happened here is that when he got those mechanics liens put up against his property by CSI Fabricators and the Stone people, I forget their name, he went out and he took out a loan from Prime Lending to pay those guys off. Prime Lending said, okay, that's cool. As we clicked through those documents, I was able to tell that Prime Lending paid both of those guys off so that Prime Lending had a single loan with Joel that he was able to pay off. And that's what those deed of trusts were, that's what the assignments were, that's what those mechanics liens were. So you can kind of click through that and see what's going on. This is nice because you're doing your due diligence so that when you go on the appointment, you already know what you're dealing with. You can feel a little bit more comfortable with this. Now, I'll tell you, once I've gotten more comfortable with negotiations, now that I'm in the position where I'm in, I don't really do this. I don't look through this on every lead. But whenever I started in the business, it really helped me to just know everything before going into, you know, I kind of had an idea of what our conversation was going to be before I stepped into the front door because I had a baseline information point of what's going on. Again, I want to reiterate, your title company or your attorney, your closing attorney, they're going to do a title search for you. They're going to do what's called a title run or an abstract of title. Again, that's mentioned in our basics understanding video. And that's great. 99% of the time, that's going to be all you need to have done. But again, we are going to go through a case study called the title case study. That if you watch that, there's a house that I got last year actually that if I didn't know how to do this stuff, I wouldn't have been able to close the deal. The timeline was too short. Most title companies are going to take several days, 4 or 5 days before they even get the title run back in, and that's assuming that they're not even super busy. In the height of busyness, sometimes it's taken 2 weeks before you get your title work back in. Well, I had 11 days from the time that I had the initial contact with the seller to the time that they were going to foreclosure. And my seller told me there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on title, so I went out and looked at it, and there was all kinds of crazy stuff going on title. But because I was able to search it myself, I was able to find what was wrong, I was able to fix what was wrong, and I was able to pull this deal from foreclosure and then continue to fix the problems myself, and I ended up turning about a $60,000 profit on it. Okay? So it is valuable to have these different tools in your tool belt as an investor. That said, keep in touch with us, guys. You can keep in touch with us, grant@creativecashflow.com. That's my personal email address. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear some of these stories of you using what we're talking about here and buying houses with it. That makes me really happy. I like learning about that. Don't forget to go out and search for Propelio.com on Facebook, search for Propelio.com on YouTube, follow the videos, share, like, all that kind of good stuff. Same thing with CreativeCashflow.com. We want to stay involved with you. We want to hear what's going on with you. So keep in touch with us, keep watching these videos, keep on learning, and I'll see you next time.